The Drakor Palace floated above a burning red planet, shining like a giant golden crown in space. Inside its tall halls, warriors feared nothing except the Emperor's newborn dragonlings. These baby dragons were small, glowing, winged creatures with eyes like tiny suns and teeth sharp enough to bite through metal plates. For 10 days, the palace had turned into chaos. Every alien caretaker, elite warriors, top scientists, even royal beastmasters, had tried to handle the dragonlings, and every one of them had failed. The first caretaker lasted 3 minutes before the dragons burned his tail. The second fainted when a dragonling bit off her helmet. The third tried singing to them but ended up chased down the hallway, screaming for help. Word spread through the Empire faster than plasma fire. No one can control the Emperor's babies. The Emperor, Lord Vaka the Flameborn, was not a patient ruler. His voice could shake the ceiling beams, and even his shadows looked angry. He expected his offspring to show royal behavior. Instead, they behaved like tiny flying disasters. Every minute, the dragonlings shrieked like alarms, shot sparks at guards, chewed on expensive furniture, and knocked over priceless statues. Their wings buzzed so fast that no one could catch them. They were cute, but in a cute and dangerous kind of way. Even worse, the palace walls vibrated with their constant screaming. The Emperor's engineers feared the sound could crack the crystal pillars if it continued much longer. The royal nursery looked like a war zone. Burn marks on the walls, melted toys, crushed feeding bowls, piles of smoke rising from the floor. The royal guard stood in a line outside the door, shaking so hard their armor rattled. General Rorth, a 6-eyed reptilian commander, rubbed his forehead with all 6 hands. "This is impossible," he groaned. "They are too strong, too wild, too loud." A young soldier whispered, "Sir, are they even babies?" "They look like thundercloud with teeth." The general sighed. "They are royal dragons. They are supposed to be unpredictable. But this," he pointed at the door, which was now slightly melting. "This is madness." Inside, one dragonling screamed so loudly that several guards fell over backward. Then came the worst part. Rumors said the Emperor had warned, "If the next caretaker fails, they will face my wrath." No one wanted to be the next caretaker, but the Emperor did not care about fear. He wanted his children calm, healthy, and ready for their future training. And so, on the 11th day, he made a shocking announcement. "I have hired a human," he declared to the royal court. Silence. Then, confused murmurs filled the hall. "A human? Why a human? What can a soft, weak, tiny creature do that our best warriors cannot? Humans do not even have claws." Some aliens laughed. Others shook their heads. A few whispered that humans were strange creatures who solved problems using weird tricks. But no one believed a human could help with baby dragons. No one except the Emperor. He raised one massive claw. "Enough. She will arrive soon. You will treat her with respect." Far below the palace, in the docking bay, a small silver shuttle landed gently. A human woman stepped out, calm, steady, and holding a simple medical bag. She wore a clean white uniform with a blue symbol on the chest that read, Universal Nurse Corps. Her name was Mira Hale. She was not tall, not armored, not glowing with power. She looked like someone who probably enjoyed tea, soft blankets, and quiet evenings. Exactly the opposite of what everyone expected. General Rohr stared at her in disbelief. "You are the human nurse?" Mira smiled politely. "Yes, I was told the Emperor needed help with newborns." "Newborns?" The general blinked all 6 eyes. "They are dragons." Mira tilted her head. "Babies are babies," she said kindly. "Some are just spicier." The general did not know what spicy babies meant, but he decided not to ask. 2 guards opened the nursery door. A burst of smoke rolled out, followed by a tiny dragon flying past Myra's head, screaming like fire alarms. Mira did not flinch. She simply stepped inside. Every alien leaned forward to watch. The moment Mira entered, the dragonlings noticed her. Instead of attacking, they froze midair, wings still buzzing. Their glowing eyes widened. A strange silence filled the room. Mira looked around calmly. "Hello there," she said, using the same voice one might use for a group of shy puppies. "Having a rough day?" A small dragonling fluttered closer. It sniffed her hand. Another landed near her feet. A third tilted its head and studied her face with big, blinking eyes. Then something unbelievable happened. The dragonling stopped screaming. The whole palace fell silent. Even the emperor stiffened on his throne. This human, this soft, unarmored creature, had walked into a room full of plasma-breathing babies. And they were acting calm for the first time in their lives. Mira gently placed her bag on the floor. "Let's see," she said softly. "Who here needs some attention?" The dragonlings gathered around her, almost like they were enchanted by her presence. Outside the room, guards whispered, "What is she doing? Why are they listening to her? Does she have some kind of magic? Or is she just that confident?" But one thing was clear. For the first time since their birth, the Emperor's baby dragons were no longer unstoppable chaos. And everyone wondered the same thing. What was Mira going to do next? The moment Mira stepped deeper into the dragon nursery, the glowing creatures followed her like curious shadows. Their eyes were bright, their wings buzzing gently, and their tiny claws clicked on the crystal floor. Just minutes ago, this same room looked like a battlefield. Now it felt strangely peaceful. But everyone watching knew the peace would not last. General Rorth and 2 guards hovered at the doorway, afraid to enter. "Is she hypnotizing them?" one guard whispered. "No human is that strong," Rorth muttered back. "Maybe she is just weird." Inside, Mira sat on the floor, calm, legs folded neatly, as if she were babysitting toddlers instead of royal dragonlings that could melt metal. She took out a scanning device, pressed a button, and a soft blue light floated around one of the dragons. The little creature chirped, amazed by the light. Another dragon shot a tiny flame at it. "Try catch it like a toy." Mira chuckled. "Curious little ones, aren't you?" For a moment, everything seemed almost normal, almost. Then the largest dragonling, the one with golden streaks on his wings, floated down from a high shelf. Its eyes glowed brighter than the others. Even the Emperor's symbol, carved on its scales, shimmered with a strange energy. This dragonling had caused the most damage for days. It was the loudest, strongest, and wildest. Even the Emperor's elite beast masters refused to go near it. It was rumored that this one would someday grow into a Titan-class dragon, the strongest breed in the galaxy. Now it was flying straight toward Mira. Every guard tensed. One whispered, "This is where she dies." Mira simply looked up and smiled. "Hello there. You must be the leader." The dragon blinked, surprised by her calm tone. It circled her head once, twice, then landed right in her lap like it owned the universe. The guards froze. Rorth whispered, "She is insane. Or a genius. Or both." Suddenly, the dragonling released a burst of plasma sparks. Quick, hot, and bright. The entire room flashed orange. A normal person would have screamed or jumped away. Mira didn't. A soft, magical fantasy scene where a small blonde child sits on the floor reading a storybook. 3 cute baby dragons with golden yellow scales sit around the child, moving gently and curiously as they listen to the story. The dragons blink slowly, tilt their heads, and shift their bodies naturally. The child turns pages calmly and smiles. Warm golden light fills the room, creating a cozy and dreamy atmosphere. Dust particles float in the light, and the camera slowly moves forward as if entering a peaceful fairy tale world. Smooth animation, high detail, friendly dragons, soft fantasy mood, calming and beautiful scene. Word spread across the Drakor Palace like wildfire. The humans stopped the flare surge. The baby dragons listened to her. The Emperor is watching her closely. Guards whispered it in hallways. Servants whispered it in kitchens. Even the Emperor's advisors whispered it behind their fangs. The whole palace trembled with one new idea. The human nurse might save the Empire from its own dragons. But inside the nursery, the situation was far from calm. The largest dragonling, the golden-winged one, was still curled in Myra's lap, trembling softly. It was safe for now, but Mira could tell it was exhausted. Its glow had dimmed, and its wings drooped like wilted flowers. She gently stroked its scales. "You poor thing. You've been scared since the moment you were born, haven't you?" The dragonling pressed its snout into her arm, making a tiny rumble that sounded almost like a whimper. It wasn't a wild monster. It wasn't dangerous on purpose. It was just overwhelmed. The Emperor stepped into the room at last, his towering figure casting a long shadow across the floor. His armor burned with a soft emerald glow, like a volcano wearing royal gold. Everyone else fell silent. Mira slowly stood up, holding the now drowsy dragonling. She did not bow, but she did nod respectfully. "Your Majesty," she said calmly. The Emperor's blazing eyes studied her. "My guards tell me you stopped the surge." "I did." Mira looked down at the dragon. "But the little one will flare again if we do not help it properly." A ripple of shock passed through the guards. "Help it how?" the Emperor asked. His voice was deep enough to make the walls vibrate. Mira took a slow breath. "Your nursery is too cold." The Emperor blinked. "Cold? These walls are forged from lava stone." "Yes," Mira said, "but newborns, many species, need more than heat. They need warmth, emotional warmth." The guards exchanged confused looks. The Emperor frowned. "Explain." Mira walked across the room, pointing at signs every alien had missed. Burn marks shaped like panic spirals, claw scratches in circles, broken toys scattered in patterns of distress. "These babies are overstimulated," she said. "Too much sound, too much brightness, too much pressure. They never feel safe enough to rest." The Emperor folded his arms. "Dragons do not need feeling safe. They are born warriors." Mira shook her head. "Even warriors begin as children." Silence. For a long moment, it felt like the Emperor might explode with anger, but instead, something unexpected happened. He nodded. Not much, just a tiny movement, but enough to shock every guard in the room. "Continue," he said. Mira placed a golden-winged dragonling on a soft blanket. Then she pulled out 3 more heat-resistant wraps. She moved slowly, letting each dragon sniff the cloth before touching them. Then she wrapped them one by one, tight, warm, secure. A hush fell over the room as the dragonlings slowly closed their eyes. Snug, still, peaceful. A sound no one had heard before filled the nursery. Soft snoring. The Emperor's eyes widened. "They are sleeping, all of them." Mira nodded. "Swaddling calms newborns across many species. It reminds them of the safety of the egg or womb." General Rortha's jaw dropped. We never thought of that. We assumed they wanted space." Mira smiled gently. "Sometimes the strongest babies need the most comfort." But before anyone could enjoy the peace, the golden-winged dragon suddenly sat up sharply, eyes glowing again, wings twitching. A sharp, vibrating hum filled the air. Myra's smile faded. Not another flare. Something else. The Emperor stepped forward. His voice darkened. "What is wrong with him?" Mira knelt beside the dragonling, scanning it with her device. The screen flickered, showing unstable energy patterns moving too fast. "This is not a flare," she said quietly. "This is fear." The dragonling's chest heaved quickly. It was breathing like it had seen something terrifying. Mira looked around. "What is frightening it?" The Emperor narrowed his eyes. "Nothing is here." But then the ground trembled just slightly. A pulse moved through the palace, like a heartbeat from something huge beneath the floor. The golden-winged dragon shrieked. The other dragons stirred restlessly. General Rorth whispered, "That came from the lower levels." The Emperor growled. "Explain." A trembling guard spoke up. "Your Majesty, the lower vaults store unstable energy cores for the warships. If one core is weak..." "Enough," the Emperor snapped. But Myra's eyes widened. "That pulse, the dragonlings can feel it. Their sense of energy is extremely sensitive." The Emperor frowned. "Are you saying they can detect a fault before the engineers?" Mira nodded. "Yes. And this one," she touched the golden-winged dragon gently, "is reacting because it's connected to you more deeply than the others. You called it the air, didn't you?" The Emperor's face hardened. He had not told her that. How did you know? Mira smiled softly. Mothers and caretakers learn to see these things. Another pulse shook the nursery. A louder one. The dragonling screamed, sparks flying from his mouth. Mira, move back. Roarth shouted. But Mira grabbed a dragonling, held it tight and whispered, I've got you. You're safe. The Emperor leaned closer, his voice low. Human, what are you doing? Mira met his burning eyes. Saving your child. And maybe your palace. She looked down at the trembling dragon. It knows something is coming. Another pulse. Stronger. Deeper. This time, even the ceiling lights flickered. The Emperor's expression changed, not fear, but something close to it. The golden-winged dragonling let out a cry so powerful that the entire palace shook. Mira whispered, It is warning us. The Emperor growled, Warning us of what? Mira held the dragonling close as its scales glowed brighter and brighter, like a star waking up. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were full of dread. Something dangerous, she said softly. Something coming from below. And all at once, every alarm in the palace began to scream. The dragons had sensed it first, and the danger was rising fast. The alarm screamed so loudly that the crystal windows shook. Red lights flashed to the halls of the palace like racing fire, and the floor trembled again, stronger this time. Even the dragonlings woke up, chirping in panic. Mira held the golden-winged dragonling close as it trembled violently. Its eyes glowed with fear, not aggression. It felt something deep beneath the palace. Something powerful, something angry. General Roar stumbled into the room, all six's eyes wide. Your Majesty, the engineers report a major energy spike in the lower vault. The Emperor's face darkened. What kind of spike? A core surge, sir, Roar said, voice trembling. One of the warship reactors is unstable. The Emperor snarled in rage. Impossible. Those cores are protected by 10 layers of shielding. Another pulse shook the palace, almost knocking everyone off their feet. The floor cracked. Small crystal pieces fell from above like sharp snow. The dragonlings shrieked, wings flaring open. Mira knelt, trying to calm them. It's okay, stay close to me. But their fear was too strong. Even her steady voice could barely soothe them. The Emperor glared at the guards. Why was I not informed sooner? No reading showed danger until now. Roarth yelled over the alarms. It is like the core was... He stopped. Everyone turned toward him. Hiding, he whispered. Before anyone could respond, a violent wave of energy blasted upward from the floor. The lights exploded, sparks raining down. The shock wave was so strong that even the Emperor had to steady himself. The golden-winged dragon lunged toward Myra's chest, burying its face in her uniform. Its scales pulsed rapidly, glowing in a pattern she had never seen. It wasn't reacting to random fear. This glow felt deliberate, like a message. Myra's eyes widened. It's trying to warn us. The Emperor stared down at the trembling dragon. Warn us of what? Mira swallowed. Something alive? Another explosion thundered below them, this one louder, deeper, almost like a roar. General Roarth's voice cracked. There is no creature down there, right? The vault stores cores, metals, and weapons. Nothing living. Mira shook her head. To the dragons, everything with energy feels alive. The golden-winged dragon looked up at her with desperate, glowing eyes. And then she knew. It's not the core failing, she whispered. Something is attacking it. The Emperor froze. His voice was low. Who would dare invade my vault? Mira looked at him with worry. Whoever it is, your dragons sense it before any machine. Another pulse hit the palace. This one so powerful that the nursery walls cracked. The dragonling screeched and huddled around Mira, shaking violently. The Emperor grabbed his communicator. Seal the upper floors. Move all troops to the vault entrance. Prepare for... He never finished, because the floor under the nursery suddenly split open with a deafening crack. A long, jagged scar tore through the ground, stretching from one end of the room to the other. The walls groaned, metal supports bending like soft clay. Mira grabbed the dragonlings and backed away. Dust filled the air. A deep, unnatural light spilled from the crack, green, cold, and pulsing like a heartbeat. General Roarth gasped. "Sir, that is not reactor light." The Emperor took a step forward, staring into the green glow. For the first time, Mira saw something she had never imagined she'd see on his face. Fear. The energy pulsed again, and a low rumble echoed through the palace. A sound like breathing, slow, heavy, ancient. Myra's heart pounded. "That's not a machine." The Emperor growled. "No creature could survive the vault depths." Mira shook her head. Then something woke up. Suddenly, a tendril of green energy shot out of the crack, slicing across the room. It missed the Emperor by inches, cutting a deep line into the wall behind him. Roarth yelled, "What is that?" The Emperor roared, "2 arms." Guards rushed in with plasma spears, forming a defensive wall. But the green energy pulsed again, shaking the entire nursery. The dragonlings screamed and huddled around Mira, wings covering her like shields. Their scales shone with intense light, yellow, blue, red, each reacting differently. Mira felt their terror, raw and piercing. The golden-winged dragonling suddenly struggled free and fluttered toward the crack. Mira lunged forward. "No, come back." But it hovered above the glowing scar, eyes wide, wings trembling. The green light responded instantly. A tendril reached for the dragonling. Myra's heart stopped. She sprinted without thinking. "Mira, stop!" the Emperor roared. She didn't. She leaped, grabbing the dragonling midair and rolling across the floor just as the green tendril sliced the space where it had been. The Emperor's jaw clenched. He'd never seen a human move with such reckless courage. Mira held the dragon tight, breathing fast. "I've got you. I've got you." The Emperor stepped forward, fury and fire burning in his eyes. "Human, you risked your life for my heir." Mira looked up at him. "It's a baby, and babies need someone brave." The Emperor stared at her for a long moment. Then the floor shook violently again. A deep, booming voice echoed from below, like a creature waking from a 1,000-year sleep. The dragonling screamed in unison. Myra's blood ran cold. "That thing," she whispered, "is coming up." The Emperor drew his flaming sword, fire blazing around him. "Then let it come," he growled. "It will learn why no creature challenges the Emperor of Drakor." Another explosion tore through the palace. The monster was rising, and the dragons, clinging to Mira, shook with terror because they knew this was only the beginning. The palace shook again, this time harder, like something enormous was smashing its fist against the world beneath their feet. The green glow from the crack pulsed faster, brighter, more alive. Every guard stumbled. Several dragonlings shrieked in terror. And Mira, she held the golden-winged air close to her chest, feeling its heart race like a tiny drum. She whispered, "I won't let anything hurt you. I promise." The Emperor's voice thundered through the room. Troops formed the first wall. Guards rushed forward, raising shields, plasma spears, and heavy blasters. Their armor flickered in the trembling light, but none of them looked confident. How could they? No one even knew what creature was rising from the depths. General Roarth swallowed hard. "Your Majesty, if that thing reaches the upper reactors—" "It will not," the Emperor growled, fire flashing in his eyes. "We will stop it before it reaches my children." His children, not royal dragons. Not the heirs. Just his children. The dragonlings trembled at Myra's feet, forming a small circle around her legs. Their wings buzzed nervously, trying to sense the danger below. Even the smallest one curled its tail around her foot, shaking. Another blast of green energy shot upward, this time hitting the ceiling. The light fixture exploded, raining crystal shards like falling stars. Mira shielded the babies with her body. "Easy, little ones. Stay together." The Emperor watched her for a long second, his flames dimming, his jaw tightening. This human, this tiny, fragile creature, was protecting his heirs better than any armored guard. He turned away sharply, as if the thought bothered him. Then the floor split open completely. A giant chasm tore across the room, swallowing furniture, cracked tiles, and a screaming guard who disappeared into the darkness below. The green glow burst upward like a rising sun. Everyone froze. Then something lifted itself from the crack. Not a monster with claws. Not a creature with teeth. Something worse than a swirling mass of living energy. Green, shifting, whispering. Its shape changed every second, like smoke trapped inside a storm. It did not crawl out of the vault. It formed itself from the raw power inside the core. General Roar screamed, "It's an energy being, a pure core entity." Even the Emperor looked shocked. Those are myths. They cannot exist. The entity pulsed like a giant heartbeat and spoke in a voice that felt like metal bending and bones cracking. The hatchlings belonged to me. Every dragonling hissed in terror. The golden-winged air buried itself in Myra's arms, crying out like a scared child. The Emperor roared, "You dare claim I'm white children?" The entity's voice rumbled. "Their power, their flames born from ancient cores, they are mine." Another tendril of green energy shot forward, aiming for the dragons. Mira didn't think. She jumped in front of them. "Mira!" the Emperor shouted. The energy tendril slammed into her chest. But instead of dying, she stood firm. Her boots slid back across the ground, but she didn't fall, because the dragonlings had wrapped their tails around her legs, stabilizing her. Their scales glowed brighter, feeding her strength. Their trust flowed into her like warmth, like courage. Mira clenched her fists and stared at the entity. "You don't get to touch them." The green being roared, "A human stand against me?" Mira shouted back, "A caretaker stands against anyone who harms her kids, no matter what they're made of." The Emperor stared at her, shocked. A strange emotion flickered in his eyes. Respect? Gratitude? Something deeper? The entity pulsed with anger. Its energy shook the whole room. Guards were thrown back like toys. The Emperor barely held his footing. Mira felt the dragonlings clinging to her, their tiny claws gripping her legs, their wings trembling. They were terrified. If she panicked, they would panic too. She knelt slowly, placing a finger beneath the golden-winged dragon's chin. "Hey, look at me," she whispered. Its glowing eyes met hers, full of fear. "We can do this," she said softly. "Remember your breathing." The dragon inhaled sharply, energy shaking through its small body. Mira began breathing with it, slow, steady, calming. In, out, in, out. The dragonlings mimicked her breathing. One by one, they steadied themselves. Their scales glowed brighter, yellow, orange, blue, red, until the nursery looked like a galaxy of baby stars. The green entity recoiled. "They bond with you?" Mira smiled. "Not bond. Trust." The Emperor stepped forward, fire blazing around him like a living inferno. "And trust is stronger than your stolen energy." The entity whipped its tendrils around in fury. "Their power should be mine." Mira stood up, holding the air in her arms like a child. "Then you're about to be disappointed." She looked at the dragonlings. "Everyone deep breath." They inhaled. "Now exhale. Focus your flame." The room heated instantly. Small flames danced around their mouths, controlled, steady, unified. The Emperor's eyes widened. "Human, what are you making them do?" Mira whispered, "They need direction. They need focus. And they need a reason to be brave." The entity shrieked. "Stop them." It sent a massive blast of energy straight at the group. Mira held the air close. "Now!" The dragonlings released a synchronized burst of flame. 7 beams of pure dragon fire, colliding with the entity's green energy. The explosion shook the palace. The walls cracked. The floor rippled. Light blinded everyone. The green entity recoiled, screaming. Its form flickered, bending, breaking. The Emperor swung his flaming sword. The blade sliced through the weakened energy mass. For the first time, the entity felt pain. Impossible, human and hatchlings. Its voice warped. "Together?" Myra's voice cut through the chaos. "You picked the wrong babies." And with one last combined blast of dragon fire and the Emperor's sword, the entity shattered like broken glass. Green fragments rained down, then faded into nothing. Silence. Smoke drifted through the nursery. Guards lay dazed. The Emperor breathed hard. Mira knelt on the floor, holding the golden-winged dragon. It nuzzled her cheek, trembling but alive. General Roth whispered, "By the stars, she saved the heirs and the Emperor." The Emperor stepped toward Mira slowly. "Mira, hail," he said in a low, almost reverent voice. "You have done what no warrior in my empire could." Mira looked up at him, exhausted. "I just listened to them." The Emperor stared at her with fire-soft eyes. "You and these hatchlings," he said, "are now bonded by battle." The dragonlings chirped proudly, wrapping themselves around Mira in a pile of glowing scales and warmth. But far below the palace, in the dark crack of the vault, something else stirred. The entity was only a fragment, a messenger, a warning. The true danger had not awakened yet. The battlefield nursery slowly filled with silence. Smoke drifted through the air like soft gray fog. Broken tiles lay scattered across the floor. Guards leaned against cracked walls, shaking, trying to understand how they were still alive. And in the center of it all, Mira sat on the floor with 7 trembling dragonlings curled around her like frightened puppies. She wiped soot from her face and whispered softly to them, "It's over. You're safe now." The golden-winged heir pressed its forehead against her chest, breathing shakily but no longer glowing with panic. The others huddled close, swaddled in the blankets she'd wrapped them in earlier, blankets now scorched and torn, but still warm. General Roth limped forward, staring at Mira as if she were a walking miracle. Human! That was beyond bravery. That was madness. Mira smiled wearily. Babies inspire madness sometimes. The Emperor stepped closer, towering over her. His armor flickered with fading flames, and cracks glowed faintly along his gauntlets from a battle. "Mira, hail," he said, voice low. "This empire owes you more than a lifetime of honor." Mira gently stroked the heir's wings. "Honor is nice," she said softly, "but right now these babies need rest and healing." For a moment, the Emperor didn't respond. He just stared at her, with a strange expression Mira had never seen from him before. Not anger, not suspicion, not royal pride, but something almost human. He slowly knelt, kneeling, the most feared ruler in the galaxy, until he was at eye level with her. "You risked yourself for them," he said. "You shielded my heirs with nothing but your body. I have never seen such loyalty." Mira looked at him calmly. "Caretakers don't measure species or status. If a child needs protection, we protect." The Emperor's jaw tightened. For a ruler raised in fire and war, the idea of protecting children without expecting something in return was foreign, unsettling, but also powerful. Before he could respond, another rumble echoed from below. Soft this time, almost like a whisper. Every guard stiffened. General Rohr shouted, "Sir, should we pursue the source?" That energy entity may have left more behind. But the Emperor raised a single-clawed hand. "No, not yet. The children come first." A guard whispered, stunned, "The Emperor just said children." The dragonlings gently chirped, curling more tightly around Mira. One soldier muttered under his breath, "Are they bonding with her?" The Emperor growled softly, "Not bonding, trusting. There is a difference." But Myra's eyes widened. "No, they are bonding." She lifted the heir gently, letting the Emperor see the faint glow on its chest. A symbol shimmered there, golden, delicate, and warm, a shape like a tiny sun. General Roth gasped, "What is that mark?" The Emperor stared at the symbol, eyes blazing. "A Draco signet, a dragon's life mark." His voice lowered, full of awe. "It binds the hatchling to the one they believe is their protector." Roth choked on his own breath. "But dragons only give that to their own kind." Mira blinked slowly. "Well, I did feed them snacks and stop them from exploding." "Snacks?" Roth squeaked weakly. "She conquered a core entity with snacks." The Emperor ignored the general. His eyes were locked on Mira. "You understand what this means?" he said. Mira shrugged. "It means they trust me. It means much more." The Emperor leaned closer. "They have chosen you. All of them. Even the heir." Mira opened her mouth to respond. But the floor shook again, this time not from danger, but from the distant sound of marching steps. The Emperor stood sharply. My elite guard is here. They will escort you and the hatchlings to a safer chamber. But the guard who entered next looked shaken, not prepared. Your Majesty, he shouted. The Emperor's voice hardened. Report. The guard swallowed. The entity you destroyed left a message in the vault. Mira felt her chest tighten. A message? Yes, the guard said, trembling, carved into energy like writing made of light. The Emperor growled. What does it say? The guard shuddered. It says, we are coming for the air. The golden-winged dragonling whimpered and pressed itself tightly against Mira. Mira pulled it close, whispering, nobody is taking you, not while I'm breathing. The Emperor's flames flared in silent rage. They dare threaten my bloodline. Roar stepped back nervously. Sir, should we move the heir to the hidden chamber? The Emperor shook his head hard. No, that will not hide him. They can feel his energy. Mira brushed a hand gently over the dragonling's head. They're drawn to him because of what he is. Yes, the Emperor said darkly. He is the strongest hatchling of this generation. His flame is old, ancient. Roarth nodded fearfully. Old flame like the legends. The flame of origin. Mira frowned. What does that mean? The Emperor looked at her, voice grave. It means my child is born with a power tied to the earliest dragons, the ones who shape stars. Mira whispered, then the entity wanted him because the air is a source, the Emperor finished. A beacon, and they want to use him to awaken something far worse. The room chilled as the weight of the truth settled over everyone. Mira looked at the trembling dragonlings. They pressed even closer to her, wings overlapping like shields. The Emperor watched the scene, eyes narrowing. Mira, he said slowly, they will not come unless you are near. Mira met his gaze. I'm not leaving them. I know, he said, surprising her, which is why I am making a decision. Everyone leaned in. Mira hail, the Emperor said, voice deep and final. From this moment, until the threat is destroyed, you will stay with the heirs. You will be their guardian. Mira blinked. Guardian? Roarth gasped. Sir, that is an imperial title. Yes, the Emperor said. A title usually given only to royal warriors. But none of them have done what she has. The dragonlings chirped with excitement, snuggling against her even more. But Mira felt a chill. A guardian was not just a caretaker. A guardian was someone who protected the heirs with their life. She looked up slowly. And when the real monster comes, the Emperor's eyes blazed with fire. Then he said, you and I will fight it together. A deep rumble echoed again from below. Louder, closer. The true enemy was rising. And the palace was running out of time. The palace felt different now. Not just damaged, not just cracked and smoking. It felt watched. Every hallway hummed with tension. Every guard moved with silent fear. Every echo sounded like a warning. Something ancient, something hungry was climbing closer. And in the center of the war-torn nursery, Mira held the golden-winged heir while 6 other dragonlings pressed against her legs. Their tiny bodies trembled whenever the floor vibrated. General Roarth approached with wide, terrified eyes. Your Majesty, the lower sensors are gone. Completely fried. The Emperor narrowed his blazing eyes. Gone. Roarth nodded. Destroyed. Something down there. It broke through our systems like they were paper. The golden-winged heir let out a small cry, and Mira hugged it close. It can feel the danger. Yes, the Emperor said darkly. They all can. Another rumble shook the floor, longer this time, deeper, almost like something dragging itself up from the planet's core. The lights flickered again, then died completely. Darkness swallowed the palace. Only the dragonling's glowing scales lit the room like 7 tiny lanterns. Mira took a shaky breath. Whatever is down there, it wants these babies. The Emperor leaned forward. No, it wants my heir. The others are simply in its way. But why? Mira asked, why the heir? The Emperor's voice lowered. Because he carries a flame of origin. And with that flame, any ancient being could be reborn. Myra's blood turned cold. Reborn into what? Into the silence. A voice answered, not from the Emperor, not from any guard, from the crack in the floor, into power. Every dragonling screamed as green fire exploded upward. Walls shattered. Guards were thrown to the ground. The air burned. A figure began to rise from the darkness. Not a swirling mass this time. Not a fragment. A body. Tall. Armored in living energy. Eyes burning with green fury. The ancient core entity had finally taken shape. It stood nearly as tall as the Emperor himself. And it smiled. The Emperor roared, drawing his flaming sword. You dare enter my palace? The entity lifted its hand. I claim the child. Hand him over, and I allow the rest to live. Mira felt the air bury himself in her chest, shaking violently. Absolutely not. The entity tilted its head. A human speaks for royalty? Interesting. Mira stepped back, shielding the dragonlings with her body. You don't get to touch them. Not one scale. The entity's grin widened. I destroyed cities older than your species. And I've changed diapers worse than your face. Mira shot back. General Roarth gasped. She insulted the monster. The Emperor smirked, just a little. Human courage is unusual. Then his voice turned deadly. But you will not face this alone. He planted his sword in the ground, flames roaring up like a volcano awakening. Mira stepped beside him. Just tell me what to do. The Emperor looked at her, truly looked at her. Just stay with the hatchlings. They are stronger with you. The entity stretched its arms. Then I shall take them all together. Green fire surged outward like a tidal wave. The Emperor swung his sword. Mira grabbed the dragonlings and dove behind a shattered column. The wave hit the Emperor head-on and stopped. He held it back with pure force, flames bursting from his armor, lighting the entire palace. But the entity laughed darkly. You cannot protect them forever. Mira looked down at the dragonlings. Their eyes glowed bright. Fear, yes, but also something else. Trust. She whispered, we can't hide. We have to help him. The air chirped weakly. The others huddled in tighter. Mira took a deep breath. Remember your breathing. The dragonlings inhaled. Feel your courage. Their scales brightened. Now focus your flame. They opened their little mouths, and sparks swirled. Their fire was tiny, but it was purer, ancient, connected. Mira picked up the air, held him close to her heart. Let's show him what real family looks like. The Emperor was pushed back a step, roaring in pain as the green wave pressed harder. The entity raised its voice. Your flame is old, Emperor, but mine is older. Mira shouted, now! 7 beams of dragon fire burst forward, small but fierce, joining the Emperor's massive flames. The energy collided with the entity's power. The shock wave shattered windows 10 floors above. The entity screamed as its armor cracked. Mira stood behind the Emperor, her arms wrapped around the dragonlings, their fire feeding through her courage, through her voice. Focus. You're doing it. Don't stop. The entity stumbled back. No. The hatchlings. Their power is not for you. The Emperor roared. They are not yours. Flames erupted from him, brighter than ever. The heat was like standing inside a star. The entity lunged directly toward Mira. For the air, for the flame. Mira held the baby tight, eyes wide, but she didn't run. I'm not giving him up, she whispered. The entity raised a claw of energy. The Emperor screamed, Mira, but he was too far. The claw swung down, and the golden-winged heir did something no one expected. He leaped from Myra's arms, spreading his tiny wings, glowing brighter than a newborn sun. A blast of ancient flame erupted from him, pure, golden, and deafening. The entity shrieked as the fire hit its chest. Cracks spread across its form. Its energy flickered, then shattered. The explosion shook the entire palace. Guards shielded their faces. Mira fell backward, clutching the other dragonlings. The Emperor was thrown to one knee. When the light faded, the entity was gone, burned out of existence. The air collapsed in Myra's arms, exhausted but alive. The Emperor stared at the glowing child. My son, my heir, awaken his true flame. Mira kissed the top of the dragonling's head. He just needed the right moment, and someone to believe in him. The emperor lowered his sword, breathing hard. Human, you have saved my empire. Mira smiled softly. No, they did. The dragonlings chirped proudly, but the emperor stepped closer, voice deep and warm. Their strength came from you. He gently touched Myra's shoulder, a gesture no Drakor Emperor had ever given to another species. In my empire, he said, the one who protects the future belongs to the future. Mira blinked. What does that mean? The emperor gestured toward the air, who wrapped his small wings around her neck. It means, the emperor said, you are now part of my family, the guardian of the next emperor. Mira held the air close as the dragonling surrounded her like a warm, glowing blanket. Outside, the first beam of morning light broke through the cracked palace walls. A new future had begun, and a human nurse stood at the center of an empire